if you are the beaten, the wife beaten, and you're defending them, are you also narcissistic because you're upholding a fantasy? You have a fantasy narrative. Is that also a form of narcissism?
That's a very interesting thought. My first couple of years in the field, I worked for Alicia Lieberman at the University of California, San Francisco Child Trauma Research Project, which looked at infant parent and child parent psychotherapy as a treatment for adult victims and child witnesses of domestic violence. There's something certainly delusional or, psychotic about some of the women I worked with who persisted in domestic violence contexts. Some of them died. As a beginner in the field, I was so daunted by that clinical situation. I couldn't imagine why a woman would stay with such a person. Is there narcissism in that? Mostly it's really terror alternating with magical thinking. I remember distinctly one woman really thought that her malfeasant partner, who beat her within an inch of her life on a couple of occasions, was a very special guy who she needed to protect, and that was sort of her mission. And protecting his kid and him and his behavior and apologizing for it and abiding his drinking and tolerating the beatings. And it makes me so bummed to think about that case. But there was something very insistent in her defense that really does make me think a little bit about narcissism.
It sounds like it reminds me a little bit, but they're not as badly abused, the R. Kelly, I don't know if you watched the documentary.
Well, whether it's R. Kelly or Harvey Weinstein or Kevin Spacey or any number of these people, what are we talking about again? It's the same darn thing. It's the dangerous case of narcissism, where you have people who view the other as an extension of self for the gratification of the narcissist, not for the independent existence of the other. And it is only through that lens in which I can understand the majority of these cases. Mm-hmm. They are utterly unempathic, sociopathically willing to harm others to get what they imagine that they want or need. And I say they imagine what they want or need because I think about Harvey Weinstein sometimes and I'm like, dude, couldn't you have just rented sex? But that wasn't it. It was the power. It was the predation that was gratifying. It was the incorporation of the victim's souls into his needy, plummeting sense of self. Think of all of the victims. These people find they're famous and whatnot. How many women are, abused? How many of these terrible people, are running around? I don't know exactly what the incidence and prevalence is of narcissism, but it's not trivial. It's around. I often wonder, why is it preserved in the genome? I asked my wife, why? Why do women get with that? Why? What she said was they're attracted to power and that there's something powerful in the narcissist. Some people, women, men, are attracted to power, and there's a fantasy that a narcissist will convey of power and promise.
I think, though, the women have narcissistic issues because they think that power, I don't think it's that they maybe even want to be close to it. But I think they want it. And, I think people wrongly, I've been victim of this, think that if you do this, or if you get this, or if you achieve this, it will allow you your phone calls will get returned. You will get more seen. All of these things. It's an illusion to think that is really going to be the thing. Because even when those things do happen, they're a moment in time. And, if you're going to rest your laurels, so-called, on that moment in time, that's kind of, it's not stable. And it's, and it was in the past. It's not today. It was yesterday, And so now what's today? And so that's
for some people, today is a new call to seek that adulation. To be on the hamster wheel of seeking approval or more is to return to the solipsistic, narcissistic frailty of adolescence, where every day when you go into school and you go to the lunchroom, your self-worth is on the chopping block.